It's Friday night, and welcome to the after show. Hi, LB. What's going on in your place?
Hi.
Something exciting?
Well, I'm not at
I
my
just
normal
heard you
place.
talking. You're at your mom's place.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I was
I
going to
know.
say,
We made a big journey. I'm
uh,
with the sweet grandma in New York. She
well,
might swear just because she's actually from Jersey and
she
stuff. Is
swears as well. She swears as well.
uh,
That's not
I can't.
surprising at all, really.
It's not. I can buy it all very honestly, but she's
So,
much smarter and more refined and just nicer.
well, it can't
She's just
possibly be
so
nicer
nice.
than you, LB. It can't possibly be. Well,
Oh, it's
welcome to the
true.
after show. It's good to have you here tonight. We have a really great show
Thank
tonight.
you.
Lots of fantastic, fun things to talk about. And also, Claude Taylor is here, which is like the equivalent of having royal family here. I mean, it's like there is no one bigger in our Twitter sphere than Claude Taylor. How are you, Claude?
I'm well. How are you?
I am really well. I'm really thrilled you're here. True Fact Stated is the Twitter handle, in case you're wondering. But everybody knows who Claude is. And I can't believe you've never been on the show. You've been such a big supporter of it. And I'm so sorry we haven't had you here until now, but we're correcting it tonight.
Here we are.
Here we are. You've got some great, interesting video of your backyard, which is coming up. So people should stick around for that, for sure. And of course, Greg Oliar is here. How are you doing, Greg?
I am good. We're conflicting with the Knicks game, honestly. So I'm recording it. I'm DVRing it. As soon as this is over, I'm going to go back and watch it. So,
Thank you. Thank you for stepping away
this
for
is
that.
how important this is to me.
Wow, that is really important. I mean, not that I...
Pivotal game 3 here.
I know they're doing quite well, aren't they? Someone told me. I think I saw. They're doing okay, the Knicks, right?
Yep.
There you go. Now, not doing so well today is the GOP. I mean, they seem to have sort of... I guess today was a bit of a, how can we put this, like a clarifying moment for everybody. Because if you thought that the GOP was going to ever be a bipartisan player, or you thought that they might actually do any of the things that Joe Biden might want them to do in any sort of negotiation, today was sort of it. You sort of realized that they're not going to be a party in favor of democracy. They're an autocratic party, and they're going to commit crimes and try hide them as often as they can. Because really, when you stand in the way of something like the commission, an independent commission based on their rules on January 6th, you're sort of asking for, what more could you possibly want? And they've basically given up democracy as a strategy, or even as a goal for this party. And so we're left with a moment of clarity. Like, what happens next? Do we just continue to indulge them, or do we let them find their way into oblivion? But I know, Greg, you've got a lot of thoughts on this horrible day that Mitch brought upon us.
I don't know. Is it horrible? I don't know that it's horrible, and I don't know that it's not predictable. I mean, none of this is a surprise. This is who they are. This is who they've been for years now, and I think everybody's slowly waking up to the reality of it. And I have a list here of the people that voted not to have this thing. There's not very many surprises on this list. If you go down, okay, Tommy Tuberville of Alabama.
Oh yeah, I remember Tommy,
football coach, obviously been hit in the head one too many times by a linebacker. That dude was the guy that Trump was trying to call on January 6th to do whatever dirty shit.
Oh, that's right.
That guy is absolutely, I don't know what he did, but he's certainly somebody that we're going to want to hear from as a witness on a stand. So he clearly does not want this to happen, right? Okay. You've got Tom Cotton, traitor. He's been a traitor for years. Yeah. No surprise there. Marco Rubio cock-blocked the Volume 5 of the Senate Intel report release. He's a fucking traitor. No surprise there. Rick Scott, the guy is literally a fraudster. I mean, he's a Medicare fraudster. I don't know why anybody would want him in a position of power and think he's going to behave honorably. He's a complete fucking scumbag.
It's really the only career path for criminals. They have to find their way to the GOP.
Grassley,
it's sort of true.
You're joking, but it's true. Grassley has that horrible woman working on his staff who probably runs the entire office.
Right.
What's her name, LB? I can never remember her name.
Are you talking about the Ledines?
Ledine, yeah. That guy's a traitor.
Sorry, guys, I'm coughing. I got allergies.
That's okay. Jerry Moron of Kansas, or Moran, however he says his name. He's one of the 4th of July traitors. You remember
Right.
the senators that went, on the
They went to
4th of July to
yeah.
Moscow to do their thing. Okay, next, Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, traitor. He was called working for Putin by John McCain on the floor of the Senate. Not a surprise. John Neely Kennedy, 4th of July traitor. Josh Hawley just bumped the Fister guy.
Come now. Come
Right?
now.
Insurrection guy.
Yes, he did.
He's clearly a guy that we need on the stand to testify. Steve Daines, 4th of July traitor. John Haven, 4th of July traitor. James Langford was the guy who was talking on the Senate floor when they stopped all the stuff. He's in on it. He was down, right? Lindsey Graham, duh. John Thune, 4th of July traitor. Ted Cruz participated in some capacity in the insurrection. And then Ron Johnson, 4th of July traitor. That's like 20 of the 35 that
These
we
are
know
all
are
people.
conflicted and are in. Of course, they're going to vote against the investigation into them.
Right.
Duh.
And they're all getting paid by Putin probably, and therefore there's absolutely no reason for them to submit to any sort of independent investigation. But it has been a sea change. I mean, at least a few weeks ago, they were putting up the pretense that, that they were going to be part of an investigation, that maybe they'd be, participating in it. And then sort of Mitch McConnell finally pulled the rug out from under everyone this week. And it sort of became pretty obvious that even he is just being paid for and bought and paid for by whomever. And therefore, we're going to be stuck with a party that is no longer interested in democracy. And that to me is the craziest thing, is a party that is no longer interested in democracy as one of the two parties in the American system. Claude, what do you think of that?
Well, I think many people haven't really come to terms with that there is no Republican Party. People still have this idea, that it's sort of like the 1950s. It was, there was this period of time where there was this great, this other party, and we had a two-party system. And, we can argue about when that period ended, but it clearly has ended.
Yeah.
And, we have the party of Trump, we have the authoritarian party. We don't have a Republican Party. So people are still not, I don't think a lot of people have come to terms with that. I also don't believe that I think a lot of Republicans, they say they don't believe the election was legitimate, but I don't think they actually believe it. I think a lot of Republicans, they simply want to live in a Trump state, in an authoritarian state. And, they know that Trump did not win the election,
they must know.
But they're not, these aren't necessarily, I don't think we can just paint all, 74 million as being morons. That just simply isn't true.
That's true. That's very generous of you. There's also, there was a poll out from Quinnipiac this week where, I think it was a significant number, because I can't remember it, I won't mention it, but that basically they said, that a significant number thought that America was ruled by a bunch of Satanists. I mean, that was basically one of the polling questions.
Something like 20% of registered Republicans basically believe in the QAnon structure, like that universe.
Wow.
With the pedophilia and the satanic rituals or what have you, but basically 20% of today's Republican Party.
Wow, you're up in Elise Stefanik's zone in the world. What are people thinking about there?
What people think about here. They do think about. First of all, their property value is going up because New Yorkers, there's this exodus that's been happening.
Right. Everyone left
because of the pandemic, and I don't know if that will persist, but it's certainly I guess it's good for the folks around here. But the question always is, okay, you sell, then where do you go?
Right.
So there's a lot of thinking here about staying, what to do with the community, how to bring more economy in. I don't want to give away really where I am, but it's there's just a gorgeous, gorgeous, incredible park. And so there's a lot of, this is conservationist land. These are folks who really care about their natural environment around them and preserving it and protecting it. I don't know that Stefanik ever figured that out.
I was wondering why
She
they voted for
certainly
her.
ran, well, she just ran very different. She was a very, very different candidate. People here don't want any drama. They don't. They want something that's just sort of clear and center, and it's not going to mess things up. And, we'll work with the governor, maybe help get, they don't want too many tourists. The fact that she was a carpetbagger didn't go over well. But she got past that, and then she changed. I just think when she changed with the last election, where all of a sudden it was really a different person, I don't know that the folks here had caught up with that, quite frankly, and also where they were really paying attention to politics. They're watching the Fox News, and they're absorbing all the propaganda without any context from anywhere else, unless they can find Twitter. Not anyone, many people are on Twitter, or they could find something that provides a context or counter narrative to this propaganda, so that they can understand its propaganda. Nice. This is also the big issue, is this Grand Canyon of a gap in the knowledge base of a vast majority of voters in Republican districts, of understanding where they do pay attention to the media, which is not a lot around here, that what they're getting is garbage.
Propaganda. Yeah, just disinformation.
It's just garbage. Yeah. It's disinformation. Who's telling them that? No one's telling them that, right? No. There's no.
They're numb to everything else, and all they're getting is this propaganda that's
and they work hard. They're busy. They work hard. They have issues. They have family. It's very different.
So those people are not going to come over. Different. We don't think they're going to come over to the real side, but at least next year, probably not. But Joe Biden does have all the information at his hands. He certainly knows what he's dealing with here. He does not need to be, continuing with the charade. I mean, it seems to me as plain as anything that we're wasting a lot of time by doing this. Let's go back and forth and discuss infrastructure, negotiate. Let's discuss the voting right bill. It's never going to happen. These things are never going to happen. It seems to me the only thing that can really happen is the filibuster needs to go. It really needs to go now, because what's the point of continuing this? The ridiculousness today of 60% of the Senate being able to be overruled. It just seemed, 54% or whatever it was. I don't remember the exact number, but at least it would be overruled by a minority. It seems ridiculous. This is an independent commission. It wasn't even that controversial, and they could overrule the majority. It seems ridiculous. The filibuster, I think, should be a thing of the past, or at least reformed.
I want to hear what Claude has to say about the filibuster and the Hill and the nature of all of that. I really want to hear your opinion, Claude.
Well,
the culture around it.
I certainly agree that the filibuster has to go, but right now we can't even get rid of that. So we have to deal with the situation that we have. We have. Senator System. We have, Senator Manchin who are right now, the Biden administration is constrained by, these two senators principally about what they can actually accomplish. So,
isn't Manchin beginning to get frustrated? I think he must be. One would think
he is, but he's still not willing to walk away from the filibuster. And until he is, should we get rid of the filibuster? It's kind of an academic argument at this point.
Well, should Joe Biden be negotiating with them? Should we be continuing this attempted bipartisanship, and we know none of that's happening?
No, I mean, I think we should pass as much as we can, as quickly as we can. I think we should, but then you're really, you're negotiating not so much with the Republican the Republican, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans. You're negotiating with how much is Joe Manchin willing to sign off on.
Right.
How big of an infrastructure package is Joe Manchin and Senator System are willing to join the 50 majority in the among the Democrats.
Because we are already at the start of an election. I mean, it seems to me like we're about to start electioneering. It's like around the corner for next year, right? I mean,
Well,
Donald Trump has
never
announced it never ends, I guess. Yeah.
it's never ending. I mean, the cycles, like people talk about the off year, and next year will be an election year. It's all, I think it's largely meaningless at this point.
You have some really good fodder this year for your billboards. Everyone must know your pack is called Mad Dog Pack, and your billboards have been sensational. But the current one, which I think you're fundraising for, is around Ted Cruz. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the newest one. Is we imagined, with his support of the Russian army and Russian state propaganda, we imagined Ted Cruz as Che Guevara.
There it is.
I love it.
There it is, Kremlin Cruise.
Look at him.
So that's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just I'd support that.
Yeah.
How does one get in on this thing? How do people get to support the Kremlin Cruise billboard?
Yeah, just go to maddogpack.com and hit the donate button. We also have a lot of merch. We're known for our merch. We, lots of different things, gift items, coffee cups, T-shirts, lots of items. You can buy some merch, or you can just make a donation. But that's our newest project, is the Kremlin Cruise billboard. We also we have a couple Matt Gaetz billboards.
Oh yeah, you do.
Oh God, Matt Gaetz.
This one was quite controversial.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that.
Matt Gaetz wants to date your child.
Yeah, this one.
He does.
This one went up about a month ago, and it was it created. It was quite a hit for us. It got an enormous amount of
buzz.
Replay. It was on Seth Meyers, the late night host.
You know what? It's funny you should mention that, because look at this. We've got it right here.
Amid reports that he's under federal investigation for sex trafficking, a liberal political action committee put up a billboard in Florida last week which features a photo of Congressman Matt Gaetz with the caption, quote, "Matt Gaetz wants to date your child." And Gaetz is furious that they didn't use a better picture. Let me send you some alts.
Billboards going up all over the Sunshine State. Matt Gaetz wants to date your child.
Up ahead, GOP Congressman Matt Gaetz is generating some weird headlines and billboards in Florida as the Justice Department works to determine whether he broke sex trafficking or prostitution laws, but Florida.
Amazing.
Well done. That's a lot of coverage. The middle clip there was from Fox News as well, which is going into enemy territory and placing that there. So that's impressive.
So we just got up. The last one, the most recent one that we actually put up was last week, which was the McCarthy billboard in Bakersfield. So it's McCoward, McCult, McCarthy.
That's amazing. That's really good too.
At a major intersection off of Highway 99 in Bakersfield.
But it is. These are great. It's great that there are such awful people, because you can turn them into such great billboards. But as a party, I mean, they've collected a collection of real characters who are just out there beyond belief, and also quite criminal in nature. I mean, I've never seen a political party as openly criminal as this one is.
I don't think we ever have. I mean, I think some of your other guests can probably speak to that better than I can, but I don't think we've ever had this kind of a collection of villains.
Greg, what do you think?
So,
Oh, go ahead, Claude. Finish your thought.
Well, I mean, I just wonder, I mean, I'm 57. I think about, what I've done in my career and what I regret and what I wish I'd done differently. I've known a lot of Republicans, and I just wonder what they think about their personal legacy, not so much just the power. I mean, I just wonder sometimes. They're not all of these guys. The ones we're talking about, the Matt Gaetz and the Kevin McCarthy's, but I'm talking about your local realtor who runs for Congress. I'm talking about people who weren't necessarily beholden to Putin and the Russians, and and look where they are now. I am talking about that 1950s country club Rockefeller Republican that that I sort of grew up running against in campaigns that I now miss.
Yeah.
But
Joe
I just
Scarborough.
wonder. Yeah, I just wonder how many of these people really just kind of shake their heads, and they're in bed with Trump, and they're having to be associated with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, that's got to be really. How do you associate yourself with someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, with what she did today? I mean, it just I don't know.
She's a lot. She's a lot to take.
Maybe I give some of these people too much credit, but I gotta wonder, some of them must have sleepless nights.
The thing that's curious to me is that tactically, I mean, they had off ramps from Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were many opportunities in certainly the last 2 years, when reasonable Republicans of the kind that Claude refers to could have banded together and, changed horses. I mean, the first impeachment, for example, like, if they just voted to get rid of him, Pence would have been president in late January, right before the pandemic. Probably I know he was technically in charge of the response, but maybe if he was actually in charge of the response, fewer people would have died, I'd like to think. And maybe he wins. Maybe he wins an election against Biden, and certainly they're gone. And then they're in power, and they can say, hey, we did the right thing. This guy's gone. But they didn't do that. And they just there's all these moments when they could have had an off ramp, and they just never took it. They never took the off ramp. It's like they're careening their cars, speeding towards the Thelma and Louise ending there.
Yeah.
And they keep not taking the exit, and what it tells me is that they have no choice. They have no free will. That they are not in possession of their own, willpower. So people are controlling them. They are owned. We've said it many times. I enjoy saying Lindsey Graham is owned because I think it's funny, but it's also sad. I mean, these people are in a position where they cannot do more than what they're doing. I think deep down, Lindsey Graham is appalled by all of this. I really do.
I used to think that. I wonder if he is.
No, I think he's
we think he might be.
He is a hostage video, and has been for some time. I don't know what they have on him. He looks miserable. He looks like, the way that his demeanor
he looks
most
drunk
of the time.
Yeah,
He's
let's
definitely
talk about
drunk. Definitely.
He's
medicating.
He looks tortured.
Yeah,
he does.
He's also, he's also making a lot of money. The truth of it is that when you look at all the way these people stay in there, and why they stay in there, even with January 6th, is there's all these PACs that, when they need them, suddenly money flows in. And money flows in the form of either direct checks, or it flows in through support or whatever. But they know they're safer in that environment than they are in the real world in some ways, because they've got the back of all these huge donors, whoever they might be, whether it's the Koch brothers or whomever. And they all get funneled to them through these kind of middlemen, and you never know really who they are. But at the end of the day, they're bought. They are bought. Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily make them miserable. It just makes them bought.
Well,
bought is too narrow. I don't think bought encompasses all the ways that they are controlled.
Right. Right. You're speaking about
what Greg was articulating, and we can just say it this way, because it's impossible to know whether, some people you can sort of see, I've used that Warner Brother cartoon analogy on your show before of, you can see the silhouette in the wall, even if you weren't there to watch Bugs Bunny run through it. You can see the ears, it's him. He's the one who ran through it. So sometimes there are enough details and enough evidence just staring us right in the face to make a conclusion. But the bigger thing, if you step back in terms of what we've been experiencing and what we've been witnessing, is the corruption of human beings in real time, right in front of our faces.
Yep.
And that's a very rare experience to witness, and we're kind of witnessing it as an event. It's a mass event, right? Of just going back to Stefanik, right, of just, this is a totally different individual now. And we watched that corruption happen, and she was helpless to it. There's something that's taking them
Look
over,
at
whether
Marco.
it's because, yes, Marco Rubio. Yeah.
Well,
Go
look
ahead,
at
Claude.
Marco Rubio. I mean, he's descended into this like Bible quoting self-parody. I
Yeah.
mean, he's virtual. I mean, I never was a particularly big Marco Rubio fan, but he's almost unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
He
does seem
is.
to be related to actual blackmail material. I mean, if you believe the word on
Yeah.
the street, that's basically, that's what people are
Yeah.
saying, that there's real blackmail there.
David
But it's
Pecker
more than just
said
the
it. He's got it in his vaults.
it's
He was
much
very
more than,
clear about
yeah.
that.
It's more than just
It's
corruption.
like
Sorry, go ahead.
it's like they're vampires. It's like it's a vampire movie, and they've been
That's
bit.
right.
Like I watched that show.
Yeah.
What is it called? What They Do in the Shadows. That's like the spoof vampire show, and Jonah Hill's sister is in it, and she's one of the supporting characters, and she becomes
Ah.
vampire. And it just flashed in my head as you were saying it, because she sort of looks a little bit like Elise Stefanik, and it's like that. It's like all of a sudden she wakes up and she has to go, kill cats and drink their blood, and that's it. There's no coming back from that. Once you're in that lifestyle, you're in that lifestyle for the long haul.
And it's
Until the
very
sunshine
disturbing. Until the sunshine kills you. It's very disturbing to watch. I don't know what it will be like when the sunshine kills them. I don't know if that will be disturbing too. There is a sadness to this. But there also,
You're assuming the
there's a
sunshine's
point.
going to kill them, though. I mean, we may.
Well,
seem
hang
to
on.
be,
Here's the shade. Where the shade is coming and where they are thriving is from the denial on the other side. Gary Kasparov put out just a 3-tweet thread today, and it was incredible. And it was like, the power that these people are being given is from the denial that has swept over the Democrats. I'm sorry, they're behaving and acting as if they're still in denial about what's happening. This is willful authoritarian regime shit that they're doing. These are big moves that they're making that are from a very well-known, well-established playbook. It's not a mystery. That is why, as much as the hard right wants to say, oh, the libs are just on fire. Well, not many of us are libs. We're people who you've got every single expert, every single person who is well-read, at the very least, if not an expert and an author on authoritarian regimes, saying, this is real, this is happening. You have activists from authoritarian regimes. You have people like Gary Kasparov, who lived it. You have people at the highest echelons of intelligence coming forward for years now going, this is real, this is happening, this is happening. And then you have the Democrats saying, well, here's my civic response. Let's do this policy. And so that denial, that whatever that, I think it's just so hard for them to conceive, because they still say, my colleagues this, these aren't your colleagues. These are not your colleagues.
You're not getting a deal with them. Yeah.
You're not on the same, you're not playing the same game. They're on a completely different org game. And so it's, I don't like the word enemy. I'm not going to use that. But what the Democrats need to understand is they're facing a party that is an adversary to democracy, a willful adversary to democracy at this point. And we need to move and make moves and make choices and decisions understanding that. And we're at this point where shit starts to go real fast now. We're on the other side of the hill, and it's going to go really fast. So we got to run. We got it. Speed is just as important as thoughtfulness and understanding, right? And plans of actions. It's the speed of this thing because of these damn devices, right? Because of the power of the propaganda, which is a powerful weapon of war. Because of that, and their there's no reasoning for that. Mitch, I don't know how many times Mitch has to pull the football. How many times does he have to pull the goddamn football? He's still running the Senate. He's not going to do anything. Anything any Democrat or Chuck Schumer thinks he's going to get from any Republican, it is not going to happen. That needs to stop. And we need to start playing a different game. We need to play the save the democracy now game. That's the game. Save it now, now, now. Right? All these other things, infrastructure, Green New Deal, climate, none of that shit's going to happen. If they take it, and a big part of this is just we have to really enforce our democracy where we have power. We have power in the vote. We have power in executive orders. There are places where we have real power, right?
Department of Justice and the Department of Treasury.
The power of the Department of Justice, the power of the Treasury. These are the fact that Colin Watnick is still in intelligence is an abomination.
He's not still
the
there.
Power of clean. He is.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Clean the house now. There's not a second to waste. And so that shift, that's what needs to happen. And then we'll see. And then honestly, it's very difficult to judge anything without that shift. And I have yet to see that shift. I haven't seen it.
We've
Maybe
got an
it's
election coming soon. We don't have
I don't
necessarily much more time to be reaching out to the other, across the aisle, or really to be reaching out to Vladimir Putin anymore. I mean, to me, it's kind of nonsensical that we're going to put Vladimir Putin on the world stage with Biden in the summit, where 2 weeks after he's had yet another hack. Last night, this new announcement of yet another hack into our federal system after the previous hack, which was just like, a month ago, less than a month ago. And then SolarWinds was just 6 months ago. They're continuously hacking our systems. They've got us to some extent controlled by those hacks. We're not quite sure how deep they go. And then, the pushing of international norms that Putin keeps doing, that remarkable and insane mid-air hijacking of a passenger plane to arrest somebody, to kidnap somebody who they consider a dissident, but most of the world would consider a journalist, a 26-year-old, to be pulled off a plane with a fighter jet. This is them testing our willingness to go with them. So we can't accept these kind of constant tests of international norms because it's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. Now they'll start to, where else were they going to pull down planes from whenever they decide they want to capture somebody or arrest somebody? Does it matter if it's over Belarus or can it be just anywhere? I mean, think about being in a passenger plane and a fighter jet flying up and forcing you down. First, just how terrifying that is. But then for this guy who knows he's going to almost certainly to his death, certainly to many, many years imprisonment and definitely into torture. And he's powerless in this situation. And this is not someone who's actually living in the territory. And this is how expansive and easy and free Putin feels right now. Because I don't think it's Lukashenko at all. I think it's, at the end of the day, this comes down to Putin. And he just feels so free. And now we're going to go and reward him with a meeting on the world stage with Biden. I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding how much they have on us right now and how important it is for us to go and talk to them. But maybe for sure Biden has this. I mean, he has a good sense of what's necessary and possible right now. But I don't see why we're appeasing him to this extent on the world stage. And after these events in the last couple of weeks, it's okay to say, hey, we're not going to meet with you. We're going to put it off until you've sorted out some of the issues that we're concerned about.
The whole thing is nuts. And we talked about this last week with the appeasement. I mean, appeasement doesn't work. Any cursory knowledge of 20th century history shows this. They appeased Hitler. Hitler conquered and kept going. They did not appease Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein stopped. There you have it. It's really, when you're dealing with homicidal madmen with megalomaniacal tendencies, that's the fucking deal. So Russia right now, the Russian Federation has been knocked back, and they want their empire back. The Soviet Union was an empire, an old school, continuous territory empire, not like the British Empire where they had like colonies all over, but one where, as in the days of old, the conquering army came, invaded the next door neighbor, and took over. And that's what they did to Latvia and Lithuania and Estonia and Belarus and Georgia and Azerbaijan and Armenia. and all the stands over there, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Uzbek, Tajik, right? Those are all countries that deserve to exist, that were part of, under the yoke of this horrible Soviet empire and this madman, Joseph Stalin, who killed more people ultimately than Hitler did, who was a crazy lunatic, horrible person. That's Putin's model. Like, he likes Stalin. He's resurrecting this idea of that. It The Russians are very, they don't, fuck around. They let you know what they're doing. This isn't rocket science here.
And we know we can't trust them. Anyone who's tried to, every administration has tried to reset with the Russians. It's never worked. Claude, I'm going to get your thoughts on that in a second. I've got to take a commercial break, and then after this, we'll be back with more interesting conversation. Also, that Bob Levinson clip that LB has found for us, which is relevant to today's conversation. We'll be right back. Now that summer's almost here and COVID is almost gone, this may be a good time to get some things off your to-do list, like maybe getting life insurance. My mom is really good with finances, and she's always telling me, what about life insurance? It's so important. And I can tell you that Policy Genius is a great place to get life insurance, because you can compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers all in one place. Why compare? Well, you can save as much as 50% or more of life insurance by comparing those quotes, and you could save $1,300 or more per year on life insurance by using Policy Genius to compare those policies for you. The licensed experts at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies, so you can trust them to help you navigate every step of the shopping and buying process. That kind of service has earned Policy Genius a 5-star rating across thousands of reviews on Trustpilot and Google. This is how it works. Getting started is really easy. First, you head to policygenius.com, and in minutes, you can work out how much life insurance coverage you need and compare personalized quotes to find your best price. When you're ready to apply, the Policy Genius team will handle all the paperwork and scheduling for you. Policy Genius never sells your information to other companies, and that means you don't have to worry about your privacy, and they don't add extra fees. Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com to get started right now. Policy Genius. When it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. And we're back. Let's talk to Claude about what he thinks about Russia and the summit. What do you think? Should Joe be going there, and should we be having this dialogue with Russia in the way that they're planning to at the moment?
Well, I think it's one thing to have a dialogue, and whether this particular meeting with Putin should happen or not, but I think we should recognize the enemy that we have, and you, in some cases, may want to communicate with your enemy, but we have to recognize what Russia is under Vladimir Putin, what they're about. They had a great impact on the 2016 presidential election. They helped determine the winner. They're fully capable of continuing. It's not like they've stopped. It's not like Russia interfered with our elections one time and they went away, and they're being held at bay. They're going to keep coming after us. They came after the oil distribution, the gas distribution a couple of weeks ago. They're coming after different parts of the infrastructure. We have to recognize Vladimir Putin as the enemy that he is. We have to go put the full arsenal of democracy. We have to go full Cold War on Russia. We have to contain them. We have to support his enemies. We have to support dissidents. We have to do 1,000 different creative things. We have to freeze his financial assets. We have to freeze the assets of anybody who ever met Vladimir Putin. We have to shut down the SWIFT banking system. We have to make the oligarchs pay.
You're cutting out a little bit there. Hang on, you're frozen. Every time you mention Putin's name.
We're having a major thunderstorm here as well. I don't know if
that
impacts, but it's like,
how nice.
It's like huge.
It might be having an impact, but it's okay. We can still see and hear you, so you're still there.
Yeah, I don't think that Vladimir Putin is sitting around scheming about how to get the stand, grouping with Russia. I think it's more about the money that they steal in resources from the people of Russia. and it's
Yes.
about the power and it's about the money.
Yeah.
About the money.
And I think we need to go after the power. We have to go after the money. And I don't think we've done nearly enough about going after his money,
No.
his sources of income. I
That's right.
I think we need to make life a living hell for anybody who would do business with Vladimir Putin.
That's right.
I think it's
That's right.
really important
So
that you're talking about.
this is my little game. We'll play this game with our audience now and with all of us. So here's my game. Okay, in terms of understanding Vladimir Putin and the underworld behind him, right? And that is still connected in all those, in what the Soviet Empire was. So here's the choice. Right hand, Vladimir Putin gets the Soviet Empire back and maybe even more, but he has to live and can only have a state salary of a state official. Yeah, maybe a couple $100,000 a year. That's it. That's all he gets. No, but he gets the whole empire. Or he gets something about the size of Rhode Island, right? And he gets all the money that is getting blocked by sanctions or any kind of roadblocks that we put in the way from having these states having their own say and they not having to pay a tribute to him as a mob boss. Which one do you think he chooses?
Definitely
You think he
the
wants
second.
a Soviet? You think he's that
Definitely
big of a Czechist?
No, he wants the money.
Or you think he wants the money?
He wants the
There
money.
you go.
But he likes the
So
power.
that's a mobster. But that's still a lot of power.
Yeah.
That's a
Wants the
mobster,
money.
not a Czechist.
Right.
There's a difference. And so if we treat him and approach him as the mobster that he is, as a mob boss that he is, there's a very different path of making things difficult, uncomfortable for this man and stripping him of his power. If we continue to treat him as if he's some genius KGB agent that just wants to restore the Soviet Empire and blah, 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 then it's in nation state issues. There's all kinds of, that becomes a more complex problem to try to corner this guy off and stop him.
It's not just him, though. It is an entire system that he's,
It's a system.
That is,
but that system relies on the money. Claude is exactly right. You have to just take it. I don't even think it's sanctions. I think we know where their offshores are. Just fucking take the offshores. Take it.
I love the expression.
Fund the infrastructure with that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely both absolutely right. We have not turned the tables yet. We're still busy being victims, and we've got to turn this around. We've got to go take the battle to them. And there's so many easy things to pick on. I mean, look at this rest of this Belarusian journalist. I mean, it's so easy to gather global support around this thing. And yet, we still haven't managed to do it.
We need to unleash an arsenal of democracy on their asses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I love that whole full Cold War idea.
Inside Russia.
I like that.
Inside Russia, inside Belarus. We need to tap into the sentiment that the Russian people inherently do have. I've met Russian people and stuff, and they don't like this guy. They don't want to live under his yoke. LB, just piggybacking on something you said about his supposed KGB super spy acumen, I was talking with my friend Moscow Never Sleeps, who is a Prevail occasional contributor this week. Because I wrote about Igor Sechin this week on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So
that was good, by the way, Greg. I liked that.
Thank you. When Putin was posted by the KGB, they sent him to Dresden, which is like weak sauce, lame ass, Igor Sechin got sent to Africa where the action was. That guy was doing stuff. Putin is a functionary. He's not like a
Yuri Shivitz got like New York. I mean, you want New York, you want London. you want nice places.
Dresden.
Was Dresden really that bad? I thought it was they hired all their Eastern German spies there. I don't know, somewhere along the line. I thought he might have been involved in the recruitment of this East German spying.
I don't think it was not important what he was doing, but it wasn't like this big creative mastermind thing.
Yeah.
He was sitting behind a desk doing his, and it's important to take the money. And going to what Claude was saying, the arsenal of democracy, we have the cyber shit too. We invented the fucking internet, We're letting these guys hack us. Fuck them. We have to have some better capability here. I would like to think. We also invented the international banking system. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
So,
And
you know,
they've got fucking Bitcoin.
It's true. It's true.
There it is. There it is. That's simple.
Yet we're not doing any of that. We're not doing any of that yet. We'll see what happens, though.
No, we're not. Yeah.
Your old boss, Bill Clinton, would have said, this is a triangulation issue. You've got the Republican Party as a challenge. You've got Russia as a challenge. Can you triangulate those two and come up with a policy that takes care of both of them? Same one, really, maybe, just going after the banking system.
Oh, I think the banking system is key. I'm not sure what Bill would say about it.
Tell me about your time with Bill Clinton. I'm curious about. People don't necessarily know much about your history there, but
I got lucky in. Well, it's a long story. I was supposed to go to work in 1992 for Senator Tom Harkin. In fact, I had an interview set up with Senator Tom Harkin at San Francisco International Airport, and he dropped out of the race the day that I was supposed to interview with him. And Bill Clinton was coming the next day, and his crew, and I ended up helping to run California in '92 for Bill Clinton. My point in that not well told story was that if Tom Harkin had stayed in the race, I would have ended up working for him, and I never would have ended up as a lowly White House staffer under Bill Clinton.
Well,
so I spent
politics can be good.
So I spent a few years working in the White House as back in the mid '90s as a lowly White House staffer, and then I worked another year in the '96 campaign, and then I kind of got out for a long while. I was a donor. I did some fundraising, but I was largely out.
The world has changed so much since Bill Clinton was there.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. Yeah, I was a young man.
It's been a long time.
I was 29 when I got to the White House.
Wow.
Could any of us have foreseen this? Could any of us have foreseen this when you were your 29-year-old self? There was never a moment in your brain probably then that we would be at this point in our history fighting this huge onslaught from the Russians. I mean, it seemed impossible to me.
I'd worked in as a teenager, I'd worked in the Carter Mondale campaign. So I'd worked against Republicans a lot, and I always opposed them, but I never hated them, and it never occurred to me that they would actually betray the country. And that just has taken me a long time to accept that. We have a Republican Party today that, they're not just our opponents, but they are actually out to destroy our democracy. Mm-hmm. They actually would prefer that. They want to live. They want to live in a state where minorities don't really matter, and just all.
Well, they don't have to solve problems. Yeah, when you're in an authoritarian state, it's all transactional favors, right? And your proximity to the ultimate power. So you don't have to think about the people, and you don't have to solve problems for the people. That's hard work. It's difficult.
Well,
I
don't think a lot of them would really like living in an authoritarian state if they actually got to that point. If we actually got to that point.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
they think though that they would have the favor. Like there's something on the other side of this eye of the needle that they're willing to go through, where there's a belief that there's a goodie there, right? That there's something that's worth it. I think it's beyond just, okay, we're owned and compromised and we have to do this. There is some reward.
They do believe they're fighting the liberals. I mean, they do believe this globalization thing is a nightmare. You don't think
I think that's a bunch of horseshit. I don't think half of those people believe it. Some of the really, really whack jobs do, but the majority of Republicans, I don't think they believe that. They don't believe that. This isn't. It's so far afield now. This isn't the 1970s and 80s and 60s, where you have
they feel completely detached from power.
The anti-communism,
They feel detached, though. I believe.
What do you mean detached
from power? They don't feel like that the system works for them anymore. They feel
they can't win with the vote. Where the people are, they never went to ideas. Okay, so I'm going to give a little historical thing here. So I'll give us. I was just writing this the other day. So one of the characters from our shared history, that is in the story that I'm writing now, the series that I'm writing now, is a woman named Eunice Carter. Okay, and Eunice was she was a Republican. She was an African American woman out of Harlem, out of New York, and was the daughter of activists, very famous activists actually, and had money. Was very much upper middle class and education. She was a lawyer. Quite brilliant woman, and she ran as a Republican against the corrupt Democrats of Tammany Hall, because Tammany Hall was just a mob-owned, totally corrupt thing, right? And she didn't win, but it's astounding to me as I'm writing, and she did something extraordinary. I'm not going to spoil it. She did, you can look her up. She did something so freaking extraordinary. It just was, it should have lasted in the history books for much longer than it did. And people did know her name at the time, and then Pearl Harbor happened, and the whole world changed. But Eunice really embraced republicanism, and she really lived it. And here you have this incredible example historically of an African American woman, brilliant, right, leader in your own party, and Republicans of today could not figure out how to turn to their own history and pull up those examples of the kinds of policies and the kinds of even activism that would work to help bring more into their tent. They couldn't do that. They did their stupid autopsy, right, with the Obama era. And I don't know if this was in the autopsy, but they couldn't figure out that they actually used to be the big corruption fighters in the most corrupt cities in our nation, and won on that, right? And so it's like, what are you doing? Why have they not turned to their own goddamn history? Excuse my French, but why not do that? So they know that they're losing. They know that they've lost, this obsession with the Browning of America that they have had, and that they keep putting. They have the Rush Limbaughs and the Alex Jones and all of these firebrand propagandists that just sort of took a hold of the party, and the Laura Ingrams, all these white supremacists. And the officials themselves, they were so freaked out about their voters and about that audience, right, for that extremism, that they literally could not even pull people out of their own past, leaders from their own past, and provide that as an example and move the party forward in a way that would have actually had it grow and embrace and strengthen it. So I don't know. Are they dumb? Are they just white supremacists? Are they just craven? Are they criminals? Are they owned? I think at this point, it doesn't matter. They're anti-democratic. That's what they are. They're anti-democracy. And that's what they're an insurrectionist party now. They've turned their back on everything, and they've gone over the cliff. And they think there's something there waiting for them, and it's going to have to be our job, unless we want to lose our democracy, to stand up and say, no, there's nothing there waiting for you. You're headed for hell in a kerosene suit. Right. And, that's where you're going.
Maybe they really realized that they had lost the demographic war, and the only way they could win is by being autocrats.
Yep.
I think that
seems like it. They could have. There were other ways to win, is what I'm bringing up. They could have chosen other paths to win. It would have been longer. It would have been more difficult, but it would have worked. I do believe that. But that's not what that wasn't the immediate. The immediate was just to go full bore.
LB, not to push back here, but Donald Trump made a really concerted effort to woo black voters. I mean, he had a couple of guys with T-shirts that said "Blacks for Trump," and he said that incredible pitch, "Hey, vote for me. What have you got to lose?" I don't understand how you can.
This is where I pull the sweet grandma from New York in, and said, "You let everybody hear what she has to say about that." Because no, yeah. I mean, I think we are in those stages of grief, right? We're sort of to the wow. This is just really sad, and it's time to actually fight.
You know,
It is.
the thing, talking about the triangulation and the scenario that I'm worried about, I think, would be, this is what they should do if they were smart, which I'm not sure that they are. Smart and autocrats, right? Because right now
Yeah.
they're so tightly aligned, they're so closely aligned with Trump that, everybody's still kind of up in arms and hair on fire about it. At least enough people are that it seems to make some difference. Trump is going to get indicted, I believe. I think New York is going to indict him. If they're smart, the instant that happens, they got to cut bait with that guy and just be like, I can't believe him. He's, and do the Claude Rains and Casablanca shock thing. Then they can continue undermining democracy while we're distracted.
If they're smart. I mean, I'm not sure that this is really a brains sort of operation. I mean,
there's no brain trust.
That's what I'm hoping for.
There's no brain trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there.
Yeah.
Oh, Zeb, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry about that. I've been saying so many incredibly brilliant things.
Okay. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. But let me interrupt you guys a little bit, because let's be practical about this. We don't really have time for, the grieving process you've been talking about, LB. At the end of the day, we've got to get our boats in order here, and we've got to get ready for the next election, which is just around the corner. Everyone's going to be starting now, really, to electioneers. So, Claude, we don't often get you here. We've never had you here before. What are the things people can do, like practically, when they've heard us talk a lot about this, but what can they do in their districts, in their states? What can they do to get to fight, and what should they be doing right now?
Well, they should get on Twitter and send those tweets. But after you're done with your social media time, find out who is running for Congress in your district. Find out, find a candidate that inspires you, and get involved. Get involved in your neighborhood, get involved in your city, in your county, in your state, in your congressional district, working for a senator or a Democratic governor or a senator or a member of Congress or a challenger. Find a campaign in this next cycle that inspires you and help them in any way you can. If we don't keep the House, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. And we're in serious danger of losing the House of Representatives.
And state houses are a real concern. I mean, that's where they've got all these crazy laws now that those state houses can overturn elections. So, we have to at least put up a good battle in those state legislatures as well. So down the line, it's really important that people get involved, not just for the people who are going to be running for Congress.
Have to show up in big numbers. Got to show up.
What do you want to see people doing in the next year? What's your advice to people right now that they can use as practical advice?
Everybody just has to be informed. I think it's too early to really do anything with the vote. I mean, I don't know anything about that, really. That's not my bailiwick by any stretch of the imagination, but it looks to me like the way the timing is going to shake out, if we can figure out how to get around these obstacles in the Senate. It's still very early. I mean, realistically, it's not even June yet. He hasn't been president for 6 months yet.
Right.
Once we can figure this out, and maybe this means, Schumer is not a wartime consigliere, and it's time for him to go and bring in Amy, please. She's doing the job anyway. Just give it to her, because he's not the right guy right now. He's not. Tom, hey, put him on a plane and send him to Vegas, because stuff's going to go down. Okay.
How does that happen, by the way? Let's just get practical about this. Say you wanted to make a move around who leads the Senate. I mean, Claude, do you know how that happens?
God knows.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It doesn't happen.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, theoretically, it could happen after the next election, but it's not something that's going to happen in the immediate future.
Right.
So I wouldn't count on it or plan for it.
But I do think he can be pressured. I do think there's a couple of, I think he's an egomaniac, Schumer. And so
yes,
I think he cares very much how he's perceived, and there's not enough of a pressure campaign coming from all of us for him to snap out of it. We need the share slap gifts. We like, come on, guy, you're the majority leader. You don't just get to dance around because you have a plaque on your door now. You need to start being the majority leader. He's got these two rogue senators who are playing around and kvetching and loving that they're getting attention for whatever they're getting attention for. Bring those assholes in, solidify your caucus. Get everybody on the same goddamn page. Excuse me for my swearing. I'm trying to be better.
I mean, it seems logical to me. It seems amazing that it's not happening. We have the Senate, at least the Democrats have the Senate, and it's not yet appearing like
that's right.
Like they've got control.
He's not. He's got to step up the game there, Schumer.
But to get back to your point, Zev, I think that Biden, at least as far as domestic policy is concerned, is doing very well. Mm-hmm. And I think that the timing of this is going to help us in the midterms. I think that right now we're sort of on the verge of opening. People are starting to not wear masks, going to the supermarket, at least in New York where I live, and stuff like that. And by the time next year rolls around, people will remember this is a guy who got us out of this mess. I mean, they can spin it all they want, but the reality is Trump was president for that last year. Everything sucked. And then Biden was president, and now everything's great. So it's pretty basic. And somebody talking to a friend yesterday was saying Fox News did a poll, and 54% of the people watching Fox News have a favorable view of Biden.
Well, that's really good. News. That's really impressive.
So, he's hard not to like, I think. And the stuff he's delivering on stuff that's going to impact people's lives in meaningful, easy, quantifiable ways. You get money in the bank, you get vaccines in the arm, you get broadband in the crappy place where you live, and maybe you'll vote for him next time. Maybe you'll say, "Hey, this." I don't know. As fun as the racism was, maybe this is okay.
I don't know if anybody here has kids, but we're going to start getting checks for having had kids.
Is that true? I read that and I pinched myself, and I'm like, I'm going to believe that.
I've gotten 0 checks. I don't know what the checks things is. The checks haven't happened for me.
You know what? I mean,
I want the checks.
I mean,
you're getting
the checks. I don't know. I'm fine. There's no reason. It's a weird thing.
I got 2 kids that I declare. It was based on that, and I got like a big check, and
really,
I was like shocked at how big my check was, and then it hardly even made the news. But the new program starts in July, and it's like $250 for every kid, $350 for every kid up till 12, and then $250 from 12 to 16. I mean, so I'm getting like an extra $550 every month.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. That's a lot of money.
Like in real money.
This is magical.
It's going to make a huge difference to people's lives. We got to go, but I want to just quickly show you, everyone, your backyard, which is spectacular. And I don't think you get paid for the deer in your backyard. Does the government give you checks for the deer at all?
No. Oh no, the deer are a long story.
But they are. Listen to the noise in the backyard right now. Sound, I should say. What is that? What is that we're listening to over there?
Cicadas.
The once in 17-year invasion of cicadas.
Yes, billions of cicadas every 17 years. I remember 17 years ago, I swore to myself I would be out of the DC area when they returned.
When they came back.
And when they came back.
And here they are returning. You're still there, and you're still doing amazing work. Claude, thanks so much for joining us tonight on Narrative. It's been really a pleasure having you on. And everyone should go to maddogpack.com and make sure that Ted Cruz billboard happens. I'll put it up for everyone again. Here it is, Kremlin Cruise at maddogpack.com. And all right, we didn't get to half the stuff I was planning to get to tonight, but it is time for us to go. So I'm going to have one more break, and then on the other side, I'm going to play today's Biden address to a group of, I think it was a commencement address to the military, and just a 2-minute clip from that. I'm going to play that on the other side of this break. But What do you got planned for this weekend with your wonderful family, LB?
We're doing a lot. I don't know if you can see the dogs. So we have beautiful collies here. Come here, Clancy.
Oh my gosh!
Come here, Clancy. Can you see him? Look at that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! He's beautiful.
So we just sort of magnificate, is what we say. We magnificate in the mountains and in the meadows, and in the river. That's what we do.
Well, you go magnificate away. Greg, do you have any plans? Any big things you got going on?
It's my anniversary next week, so I'm going out to dinner with my wife, which is going to be fun.
Happy anniversary!
Without masks.
Thank you.
That's going to be good.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be good. And just quickly, I want to say, LB, you were talking about watching Republicans sort of turn and become evil in real time. It's been also fun to watch Claude develop the Mad Dog Pack thing in real time. That's like a positive thing that happened.
That was. It's been really great
on Twitter, and it's
yeah.
Great. So I just want to
really
tip my hat to you, Claude. Good work.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's a good note to leave it. And I'll be back on the other side of these. And have a good night, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Helix Sleep, and they have a special offer for narrative viewers. I've heard it from so many people. The one thing that's changed since January is their sleep. Not waking up worrying about what the president might have done or said or tweeted makes the world of a difference. I don't think I had a good solid night's sleep in 4 years. And it wasn't only the president. My 10-year-old mattress, which started life as a 12-inch foam mattress, had shrunk to an 8-inch mattress, and getting out of bed was often more of a slide than a bounce. It was time for a new mattress. Helix Sleep has a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Why would you buy a mattress made for somebody else? Changing the course of a country can take a village. Changing the course of your sleep takes a quiz. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/narrative. That's the way we spell narrative, NARATIV. That's helixsleep.com/narrative for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows just for you. Tonight's show is... Well, I was going to play this clip from Joe Biden. I can't find it, so we're not going to get to play it. But have a good night. I will put it into the podcast. And the Narrative Live will be back on Tuesday. We have a really interesting show Tuesday. So make sure you check it out on Tuesday at 7 p.m. on the East Coast, 4 p.m. Pacific. And on that note, have a good night, everybody. Narrative is funded by viewers like you. Support our independent journalism at patreon.com/narrative.